Hi everybody, welcome to Your Health Your Way. I'm Lisa, and today is March 31st, 2020. There's this coronavirus that we hear about going around. A lot of people are sick and passing away from it, unfortunately. My heart goes out to those who have gotten sick, those who have passed, and to their loved ones. Today I'm going to talk about how to build our immunity and how to build our morale. And I'm going to talk about the emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual level of this. Now, does this mean that if we follow everything that I'm talking about here that we'll never get sick or die? No, I mean, of course not. The reasons that we get sick are many. It's multifaceted. But I'd like to start with the emotional, mental, and then go down to more the physical, which has to deal with the nutrition and exercise and stress management. Because the emotional and mental, I think, are just as important. There's a lot of fear and negativity going around. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying don't be concerned or don't follow, the guidelines, etc. What I'm saying is what we do in our minds and what we feel in our hearts affect our physical health. I'd like to start with a couple of examples that happened to me recently, which is one of the reasons I've taken so many days to make this video, because I keep finding new things I want to talk about or new examples I want to include, and I didn't like how it came out. So anyway, I've made this a bunch of times, and I hope this one goes through. I live in a county in the southwest part of the United States where we have a private Facebook group just for the county. And wanting to help other people, I thought, well, let me make some videos that talk about some things people can do to boost their immune system and morale. I posted this little like three and a half minute intro video, and I was sent a private message by the moderators who control the group saying that they couldn't post anything that went against the CDC guidelines. So I watched my video again, and I pulled up the CDC guidelines. I'm looking at these side by side, and there's nothing that I could tell that I said or was going to say in future videos that went against the CDC guidelines whatsoever. So I wasn't going to argue. I was like, okay, I'll just post it here on Your Health Your Way. But I think that was a very good example, and I'm glad that happened, because it shows us how fear shuts us down completely to listening to other things. We turn a deaf ear, right? We have tunnel vision. And we shut out things that can really help us be more in control of our own health and that of our loved ones. So what I'm saying is, and then someone else had posted when I said, I replied to that in a different post, and I said, hey guys, my video was taken out by the moderators because they can't post, quote, anything that goes against the CDC guidelines. And someone replied to that saying, good for moderators, removing it. And I'm like, this person didn't even get to see the video and decide for themselves. So people, do follow the federal, state, local CDC guidelines, all right? Follow all of that. But in your mind, in your heart, in your gut, think for yourselves. I mean, don't be one of these. We have to wake up, and we have to, or we're not going to make it. Basically, we have to wake up or we're not going to make it in this world, in this life. A second example is that there was a local newspaper, and the journalist who writes would post every morning. First thing in the morning was how many deaths in our state, how many how many people got ill, and then at the end he would say none in our county yet. And he said this one day, he said that the second day. The third day I read that, it was just driving me nuts every day. And I'm like, why do people talk like that? And I posted, and what I said, and this is literally from what I posted, I said, we often use the word yet when things are going well, but feel certain something bad will happen. Our thoughts are powerful things just as words can be. Could we maybe say we don't have any cases, period? And then someone who didn't read the whole article and who didn't really understand what was going on went on this tirade about how the Spanish flu was avoided in like a certain town, not because of Zen thinking or positive thinking, but because of good hygiene. So here's another example of people missing what's right in front of their eyes. I said nothing about not having good hygiene. All I said was, let's watch how we word things because they affect our thoughts. And some people just see things in black and white. You know, things can coexist. And later on, I made a post and I said, well, isn't it wonderful we can both have good hygiene and think positively, okay? So it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. All right. Third thing on emotional mental health, the news. It's so addictive to watch the news. And as negative as I know that it makes us feel, I get sucked in, you know, through either Facebook or through one of the internet channels. We don't have like regular TV. We want to be informed. We want to know what the latest guidelines are. We want to be safe. So here's my recommendation. When we listen to or watch things, okay, when we watch things, we're getting the visual. When we listen, we're getting the auditory. When we watch TV, we're getting both. There's a lot of emotion and drama in people's tones when we see videos of trauma, of, you know, even like the hospital, the medical staff that's undergoing through a lot of hell right now. It really affects us. It doesn't do anything for us to see, to have to see all that. So what I would recommend is, first of all, pick maybe 1-2 maximum times per day that you would like to find out what's going on in the outside world. Don't do it before going to bed. And don't do it while you're eating because that affects your digestion. But pick a couple of times a day and pick whatever channel you want, be it Fox News, CNN, Global News, Facebook, and just to update yourself, limit your time, maybe 10-15 minutes, and then put it away. Another thing that affects our emotions and our thoughts is this binge watching. So now we're home, we're not working. So we start binge watching movies. This is really very addictive. It dumps us down, and it can help us to miss things that are going on right in front of our eyes. That's the goal, right? And then one day we come out of our binge watching stupor and we wake up to a whole new world, totally missing what was happening to get us there. Whatever you do that brings you down, try to balance it with some things that bring you up. So turn on some funny shows, watch some comedians on TV, dance, play music, do some arts and crafts. There are many videos now with people who have skills in certain things offering to teach, even for free. Make some fun videos, be outside with your pets and your kids, video chat with friends who you've neglected for years, which is something I've been doing lately, which is wonderful. Take this time to clean out old crap, because as we clean out old crap from our house, from our property, things that look unsightly, we're also cleaning out our thoughts and our old emotions that no longer serve us. So let's clean the outside so we can also be clean in here. And then finally, in terms of the emotional mental, I want to say, feel your emotions. This is something that I have been reading about and studying about lately. The importance of feeling our emotions, not suppressing them, not trying to ignore them or put them away, but feeling it. Whether it's fear, anxiety, anger, grief. If you're sad, cry. If you're angry, hit a pillow, scream into a pillow, hit a punching bag, never hit or touch anyone, any living being in anger. Write in a journal. There's a book that I read recently that says that all emotions that we feel boil down to 3 basic ones if you actually go down and figure out what's going on beneath. And those 3 are fear, grief, and despair. So whatever emotion you feel at any time, feel it fully, and then ask yourself, does this have to do with fear, grief, despair, all? And do some journaling. We are taught to suppress emotions. That's what addictions do. Addictions are there, whether it's food addiction, which I'm very familiar with, drugs or alcohol, gambling, porn, sex. They're just ways to avoid feeling. So feel. Now, we get into the physical part. following the regulations of state, federal, state, local, and CDC guidelines. Do what you can to get outside, whatever's permitted at this time. Get outside, breathe fresh air, get some sun on your skin as much as you can on your body. If you can get out there naked where nobody sees you, if you can get out there with minimal clothes on, get the sun on you, breathe fresh air, drink lots of clean water, and move your body. That is super important. If you cannot go to the gym, because fitness centers at this moment are closed anyway, try to walk around the outside of your property, especially if you have a big one. Respect the social distance, because we, at this moment, as where I am, we can still do that. We can go outside, we can exercise. It's encouraged, in fact, which is wonderful, maintaining social distance from people. You can pull up YouTube videos and do a million different kind of calisthenics where you don't even need weights, like if you don't have exercise equipment at home. If you're chair bound, there are chair exercises that you can do right off of YouTube. There's a lot for people that are incapacitated or disabled or elderly or have some physical issues and can't get up. And if you can't do anything, try to get someone to help you sit out on your porch and breathe some air, get some sun on you, drink some water, surround yourself with beauty and with something positive, however that looks to you. Okay, I just want to make sure I cover everything, so I'm reading off my notes here. Sleep is super important for the physical aspect. Between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. is the most crucial time that our bodies regenerate, detoxify, that our adrenals rebuild. Adrenals control hormones, which control everything in the body. So try to be asleep by 10 p.m. and try to stay asleep from at least 10 to 2 a.m., hopefully longer than that. But that's the crucial time where the adrenals are rebuilding themselves. I also want to mention, before we're just going to get into the nutrition in a minute. We hear about who's dying. We hear a lot about the elderly dying because they're weak and frail. Okay, not all the elderly get this virus or any virus. And not all the elderly who get sick are dying. So the question to ask isn't look at who's sick and dying, but look at who isn't and what's different about them. The elderly people, okay, they have lived, 70, 80, 90, 100 years in this lifetime. They have lived through a whole lot of stress. They've lived through changes in the foods that they eat, the chemicals that are put in our environment, in our food. Those things build up toxins, and those weaken the immune system. Also, elderly are frequently dehydrated because they either don't remember to drink water or they just don't feel the thirst. And they're still dehydrated even though they don't feel thirsty. Water helps to clean out the kidneys. What's being cleaned out of the kidneys is what comes out of the kidneys through our lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is what brings out the toxins. When the lymphatic system is stagnant, it backs up and it creates these little pockets, sometimes called acne, cysts, boils, tumors. They're pockets of pus, pockets of cells. And there's certain foods that clog the lymphatic system. The foods in hospitals, nursing homes, assisted living homes, schools are some of the worst. Highly processed foods full of chemicals, additives, preservatives, and things that our bodies don't want and certainly don't need. I'm going to post links to other people that talk in detail about these things, and I'm not going to go into the detail about it because they're more knowledgeable than I am, but I'm just trying to summarize what I know to try and help you. So what foods block the lymphatic system? Okay, first of all, dairy is a major culprit. With COVID, it affects the respiratory system of those oftentimes that already have issues with their lungs. If you look at dairy, when you have kids are born to get formula bottles stuck in their mouth. That has chemicals and additives. Little kids getting their formula which is dairy. Get colic, sinus infections, allergies, asthma. Take the milk out, oftentimes you see them improve. After the age of 2, we don't need dairy. That has to do with the dairy industry wanting us to buy dairy. We are the only mammals that consume dairy after the age of 2. Dairy can also cause digestive disorders. And a lot of times people will go to their doctors and the doctors say, okay, we'll have lactose free. You're probably lactose intolerant. You're still getting the products that come with the milk. You're getting the pus from the cows because they get infections, and then we drink that pus that comes out in their milk from their infections. They are often given antibiotics because of the awful conditions they live in, and we then ingest those through the meat that we eat and the milk that we drink, which disrupts our own gut flora, which affects our brain. Those antibiotics added into our system keep the antibiotics that our doctors give us sometimes when we need something, an antibiotic, it keeps it from working. So then we get antibiotic resistant types of diseases. And then the calcium question, okay? I give a health class where I go into more detail of all this. I'm just trying to throw it all at you at once. I taught a health class here. Only a few people took me up on that, and they got 30 pages of handouts. That would be a great time. This would be a great time to look into that, at those handouts now. So to get calcium, that's also promoted by the dairy industry. If you want calcium, Google sources of calcium. There's tons of them that you can read on the internet. If you want to replace milk with something else, there's nut milk, there's almond milk, there's coconut milk that you can get. I know it doesn't taste the same. I don't like to drink almond milk by itself. I like it in my coffees and smoothies, personally. But if you want to limit the dairy, at least reduce it. This is what I would suggest, all right? Because processed foods, there's milk, and if you look at the ingredients, it doesn't just say milk. It has a bunch of different labels that are meant to confuse us. So you eat something, you think you're not ingesting dairy, but it does. It has it. So let's look at the obvious sources of dairy, okay? So ones you can start eliminating, the ones that tend to go off the shelf when the apocalypse is coming, all right? First ones to go, it's not good. Milk. Anything creamy, creams, cream-based, like sour cream, salad dressings, ice cream, cheese, yogurt. So anything made with cow's milk is dairy, and I suggest that you limit it, and I suggest you start out with the ones that you are most consuming most. Everything I say about nutrition, I say with full compassion and no judgment. I have struggled with my weight, I have struggled with health issues, and I have struggled with food addictions, which are videos that I'll be making in the future, because this is something that I just came upon myself. So I say these things with understanding. I love cheese. I love, creams in my coffee. So the more we can at least minimize that, the better off we'll be. The second food or foodstuff that weakens our immune system is sugar. Sugar is highly addictive. When you refine a substance like sugar cane into sugar, it becomes addictive. Just like flour is refined from the whole grain, and it becomes addictive. Sugar feeds parasites, viruses, worms, bacteria. It weakens the immune system. It can cause and worsen allergies, cause digestive disorders. There's all kind of information that you can read about sugar. And if we're not consuming pure sugar, we're eating things that turn quickly into sugar. So what I would first suggest is to try to cut out as much sugar as you can. Anything that you're adding sugar to, obviously that's sugar. Anything sweet, in the bakery section, in the candy and cookie section, that's sugar. And then you also have a lot of the processed foods that contain sugar where you don't think it does, but like it's somewhere hidden in the ingredients or it's hidden under certain names. Try not to stress yourself out too much with that. Try to start with focusing on the major sugar sources, and you know what it is. I mean, there's many foods that we clearly know what what they are. That has sugar. Okay. Then the third part of the food issue is animal protein. This is another part of the industry that promotes eating high protein when we don't need as much as what we're told. Most of us are not bodybuilders. We're not, competing in situations where we need a whole lot of protein. And even when you do, you don't necessarily need animal protein, because there's a lot of vegetarians and vegans that compete in those things and are actually as strong as many of the people that eat meat. But I like my meat too. I'm not, for ethical reasons, I wish I was vegetarian. But try to limit it. Try to do the chicken and the fish. That red meat is putrefies in the gut, and it attracts a lot of these parasites. Okay. So try to stick to the chicken, turkey, fish. Try to do grass-fed. Try to do the ones that don't have added hormones, because those disrupt the hormones in our bodies. And drink, plenty of clean water, depending, where you live. And I think that might be, and try to sweat. If you can get outside and sweat, get out in the sun, get in the sauna. So if I think of anything else, I'll add it in. But anyway, I hope what I have said has helped you. I hope you can take what you can do, try to change some of these things that are easiest for you to change, work into the harder ones. And any questions, feel free to contact me or post them down below. If you've stayed to the end of this video, I thank you so much. I think there's going to be extremely few people that are going to watch this whole video, and even fewer that are going to follow anything that I say, because I understand the difficulty, the challenges, the addictions. I get it. So hopefully this helps one or two people out there in some way or other, or their loved ones. And I wish you all good health on all levels. And in the spiritual level, whether it has to do with religion, metaphysics, New Age, whatever spiritual, that level I said I was going to talk about, that is tied into every facet of our life, mental, emotional, and physical. Our spirit tries to speak to us, and oftentimes we ignore it. So we have emotions that kind of clue us in. When we don't listen to the emotions, they get expressed through our physical body. And you can read books by Carolyn Mace, Louise Hay. There's a great YouTube channel called Metaphysical Anatomy that talks about how physical ailments are oftentimes caused or worsened by the suppressed emotions. Okay? So, and in terms of our spiritual self, a friend of mine had recommended a book by Viktor Frankl called Man's Search for Meaning, and it was about the Nazi war camps and the concentration camps during the war. And he found that the people that survived it and thrived after they got out were the ones that seemed to find meaning in their lives. Could be a paid job, could be volunteer work, could be something they do every day to help a person here or there, an animal, some other being. So do things where you try to find meaning in your life to boost your spiritual self. All right, so see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Hey guys, there was something else I wanted to say that I thought about afterwards, so I just want to tack this on to the end of this video. Before I say what I'm going to say, I'm going to preface it with this. I've never been one to belong to any particular cliques. I don't consider myself any particular affiliation with the political world or the religious realm. I'm more about individual humans and how they treat me, how they treat other living beings. So I'm saying this not from a political front or anything of that nature, or even a religious front. With this situation that's going on, among many others that have existed in the past and that will exist in the future, you have to go kind of follow the trail backwards, because this is going to be a very different world when this COVID situation is done. There are a certain group of a 1% of people in this globe, around this world, that benefit from instilling fear. If you can instill fear, be it through a virus or through pointing out a particular person or act or group of people, you instill fear in people. When people get scared, we start giving up our freedoms, thinking that it's going to make us safer. We tend to go to sleep, and we've been asleep for a long time, be it the chemicals that they've put in our foods, the technology that we've been given that has been a blessing and a curse at the same time, the television, the media, all the distractions. We tend to go to sleep. When this situation is over, we're going to wake up to a very different world. And it's something that has been in progress for decades. I've read many books on this subject, and I don't go into detail because a lot of people have different opinions on it. But we are going to wake up to a whole different world, having much less freedom. And I have a feeling this is just my opinion, and I think it's just going to continue like this in the future. Regardless of what happens outside of us, regardless of what controls us, or what's controlling us from out here, I just want you to remember that above and beyond what goes on in this world, in this physical existence, in this physical level, that above that we are consciousness and we are spirit, and we are above all of this. Try to operate from this level up here of a higher perspective, even though we have to live down here. As they have said in different philosophies, be in this world, but not of it. And I'll leave it at that.